What is up, everybody, and welcome to FLW Videos. In today's episode, we're going to be doing a pre-dive on the Pokemon Hoopa in Pokemon Go, because there has honestly been a lot of hoopla. I had to do it. In Pokemon Go, where we ended up seeing some information about Pokemon Go Fest, there being the ring in the sky. I honestly thought that looked so cool and legitimately got me excited about it. Definitely let me know what you thought about that during Go Fest. And then up next, we saw that Hoopa was added to the loading screen officially. So if you open up your game now, that's exactly what you're going to see. And then finally, we got an update for Galar Pokemon that are being added in for the Ultra Bonus Unlock Part 3. And along with that, Hoopa officially got its assets added into the new APK. So with all of that being said, we're going to talk about this Pokemon from a statistical perspective, talk about it from the Confined and the Unbound versions of it. If you don't know that, there's actually two variations of Hoopa. So we're going to be talking about all of that, and then of course speculating on the moveset. And then once everything gets finalized, we will of course do a deep dive at that point in time, which means officially from Niantic. But anyways, if you do enjoy this episode, if it is helpful, make sure to turn that like button shiny, and of course subscribe if you want to see more videos like this in the future. But anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. So the first thing that we can talk about are the two different variants, and if you're taking a look at these two different forms, Hoopa Confined is probably going to feel more familiar to you if you were on the Pokemon Go side of things, and that's simply for the fact that it's been Hoopa Confined that has been kind of teased in anything and everything, for example, added into the loading screen. But what we're going to be doing today is also taking a look at Hoopa Unbound, which will probably come in after the Hoopa Confined, but definitely let me know how you think Pokemon Go would introduce Hoopa Unbound. I'd be real curious to see that, so definitely let me know in that comment section below. But anyways, if we go ahead and get back to Hoopa Confined, the first thing worth mentioning is the typing. We've got a Psychic as well as a Ghost typing, and then for Hoopa Unbound, it ends up dropping the Ghost typing and picking up Dark, becoming a Dark and Psychic type Pokemon. And then beyond that, we can see that it has a max CP at level 51 of 3,843. And then once it moves over to the Hoopa Unbound, it goes up to 4,570. And that's simply because the Unbound is a little bit more attack heavy. So of course, what we're going to do is also take a look at the actual movesets, because although Ghost and Dark type end up doing the same super effective damage as each other, what's going to end up happening is Hoopa Unbound, of course, is going to get a same type attack bonus with the Dark typing moves. So when we head over to the moves, we'll take a look at Ghost, Dark, as well as Psychic to cover both sides of it. But before we do that, we have to go ahead and dive into the actual stats of the Pokemon. So Hoopa Confined is actually very well-rounded, and that's to some extent an advantage that it could end up having over Hoopa Unbound. But if we take a look a little bit further in, we can see that its attack stat is ranked the highest at 261, ranked at 73rd. That's actually pretty good. And then, of course, on Hoopa Unbound side, we can see that the attack stat gets upgraded by, nearly 50, and it ends up being 10 above Mewtwo, so that's pretty impressive. And it ends up getting a rank of 22nd in Pokemon Go, including Megas and everything like that, so very impressive. And then we've got the defense stat for Hoopa Confined. That's actually still pretty good. Defense stat does end up being an upgrade for Hoopa Unbound, so Hoopa Unbound is just a straight-up upgrade so far. And then finally, we've got the stamina here. Stamina is unfortunately low for this Pokemon, and it ends up staying the same between both of them, where they both have a stamina of 173. So a little bit unfortunate there, but for the most part, Hoopa Unbound is looking like the clear victor between the two. But of course, I would love to know what you think about that. We've already talked about the max CPs, but yeah, you can see that there is a pretty big increase of nearly 700 here. So very impressive for this Pokemon. Up next, we're going to take a look at these Pokemon versus their relative rankings. So we've got Hoopa, and then of course we've got Hoopa Confined and Unbound for the Psychic typing. So if we go ahead and look at that, we can see that Hoopa Confined ends up having an overall ranking of 24th, and then the Hoopa Unbound ends up having an overall ranking of 23rd among the Psychic types. So that literally just means that the Hoopa Unbound Crazy Arms up there is literally the next best Psychic type option when we are comparing strictly to Psychic types. And then of course they diverge when we head over into Ghost, and then of course head over into Dark type for Hoopa Unbound. So this is an interesting scenario, because compared to different Ghost type Pokemon, we can see that Hoopa Confined actually ends up being the 4th best overall compared to those ghost types. Attack is looking good. Stamina is surprisingly looking good. That's just because there's so many glass cannons in that ghost category. And then if we head over to the dark typing, we can see that Hoopa Unbound is actually ranked in at the 7th position. Attack is still looking good. But what this basically means is Hoopa Unbound has a lot of more competition among the dark types than the Hoopa Confined version does among the ghost types. So that could end up having a factor or kind of like a play in here. So it really just depends on the actual movesets, of course, like we talked about earlier. So I figured, why not? Now's the time to go ahead and talk about those moves, like we mentioned before, and kind of having a discussion, which we'll have right after we cover the moveset. So I went through here and created a star on any move that I think is interesting and kind of worth talking about, just to make it a little easier to kind of point out some moves that'll be a main focus. So we've got Confusion here, which Confusion is a quick type move, and it's actually a good move. So it'll be interesting to see if both forms end up getting it, since they both shared the psychic typing. And then if we go ahead and scroll down, we've got Zen Headbutt. Not the most ideal, but I see it as more of like an alternative. Like if we can't get the best move, hopefully we get another decent move. And once again, on that quick move. And then finally, if we go ahead and check out the next move, we've got Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is a great ghost type move, but of course in this particular case, it's going to end up helping the Confined version since it has the ghost typing, and then the Unbound version does not have the ghost typing. So in this particular case, it's going to help the one that looks like a genie as opposed to the Unbound version. And then finally, we've got the move Psychic, which I think is going to be helpful for both of them. Psychic did get an upgrade a couple of years ago where it is a great move. Of course, it's not as good as something like Psy Strike, but Psychic actually is a decent move, so I'm excited about that. And then we've got like Hyperspace Hole. I would be so interested to see if Hoopa would end up getting this move. I personally think it would be interesting, but I honestly don't know, so I'll put a question mark there, so definitely let me know. That's what this pre-dive is about. We can, of course, speculate on it, but at the end of the day, we don't know what Niantic is going to pick, hence why we wait to talk about that part for the deep dive. This is all roughly speculation. And then we've got the move Psyshock, so I marked it with PvP. That could be kind of a fun move to see. But we haven't really been seeing a lot of dark type moves, which gives me at least a little bit of a concern for the Hoopa Unbound. And then finally, I had to scroll, oh my gosh, all the way down and finally found Dark Pulse. So Dark Pulse would be a good move to have for Hoopa Unbound. I was getting so worried we weren't going to end up seeing any dark type moves that were decent. And then finally, seeing it a little bit further, we also see Foul Play. So there's definitely some room for these Pokemon, and those are kind of like the final moves that are worth talking about here. But basically what's going on with the Hoopa Unbound, Hoopa Confined, I think both of them do have some play, at least as far as the movesets are concerned. I do not think that the moveset is going to hold them back. They have some same type attack bonuses or stab moves that could end up being, first off, they're good in Pokemon Go, but they also could be made available to the Pokemon. They are within the move pool, so I am very excited about that, and just crossing my fingers Niantic ends up picking out some good moves for these Pokemon, and they're going to be exciting for different reasons. Hoopa Confined could end up having some space as a ghost type attacker, which would be interesting, and then on the flip side, you've got Hoopa Unbound, and that one is just awesome. I think a lot of people will be real excited about that. It has some competition from the dark typing, but it also has access to some pretty good moves, such as Foul Play, such as Dark Pulse. So I think it ends up having a good play, and I'm honestly excited to cover this this pre-dive because these Pokemon are very exciting. But I would definitely love to know what you think about Hoopa in the comment section below. After watching this video, are you excited about either of the forms, both of the forms, anything and everything? Make sure to let me know in the comment section below. And I also want to end with saying thank you so much to the supporters over at Patreon. We have an exclusive Discord server where we talk Pokemon Go, we coordinate for raids, we do so much more now. It's been a lot of fun. We've had a great time, like really bonding with each other. So if you want to support the channel and also connect with other Pokemon Go players, make sure to check out the Patreon link in the description below, and I will see you next time.